Get down.
Good evening, ladies. Here, and I hope you are well. Welcome back to Impact Dynamics Live, and we are kicking off tonight. We've chat. It's good to see some names. We've got Dave and Scott in there, Brad and Anthony. Give us a hello if you're hanging around and checking things out. We've got all sorts of stuff to talk tonight about. Graeme is on from New Zealand, and he stayed up late especially for us to have a chat, talking about the competitions he runs, competitions he shoots in, do some hunting, all that sort of stuff. So looking forward to that. Wanted to give you guys some updates on some stuff. Huntsman up in Queensland have released Huntsman Media, which is their YouTube channel. So if you are on YouTube now, open up another window and go and check out Huntsman Media. Joel has his first video up there, and he I think he was a bit nervous doing it. But anyway, it's good stuff. Good to see more people jumping on board that. So that is up there, Huntsman Media. Go check them out. Make sure you subscribe. No doubt they'll be having more and more videos coming soon. Also, Joel has said that if we get enough subscribers in the first week, he will take his shirt off and do push-ups. So if that's something you want to see, get onto it. If that's something you don't want to see, I think you've got to double the amount he was hoping for, and then he won't do it. So either way, go and subscribe, something along those lines. Tonight is a Zoom hangout as well. If you're a regular viewer, you'll know that on Wednesday nights after the show, about 5 minutes or so afterwards, we'll be out in the Zoom room, so to speak. So at the end of the end of the show, we'll have the numbers up on the screen. That's the room. You can jump in there, and we'll about 40 minutes or so, and we will sit there and chat and talk about gun stuff, and generally get a question from someone, and all take a punt at answering it. Evening, Emma, as well. Thanks for saying good day. What else can I tell you? Coming up on the show, Steve Hurt is on tomorrow night from Outer Edge Projectiles, talking reloading. Had Steve on the show before, and it was one of the most well-received shows we've done. So we're getting him back in for another discussion to see what's happening in the world of reloading projectiles, and whether he's finished making those new target projectiles, which I'm looking forward to seeing. That's the ones I'm planning on running in the 6GT. But he's tomorrow night, and then Friday night, Dave Acker. If you're familiar with, you're probably familiar with Dave Acker. If you're not, you should be, or keep your distance, one of the two. And he will be entertaining us for a Friday evening, as he should do, as we should be entertained Friday, and then Sunday night Q&A with a few of the guys from throughout the week. So I'm looking forward to that. One other thing I wanted to mention, it appears that MAFS is over. Married at First Sight is over because Jay is back up and running courses, or at least working towards running courses. I think it is the June long weekend. He has planned to run a course in Canberra, and at this point, with restrictions starting to look like they may be lifting, he is aiming to do that. So if you need some long range training, you want to, the stuff we've talked about, especially the episodes that we've done with Jay about long-range shooting bits and pieces, go and spend some time with him. You will learn an absolute ton, and so that will be coming up early June, but first weekend of June, I think it is. Hit Orange Accuracy for the dates. They'll be able to give you all the information. As normal, we're sponsored tonight, and we're sponsored by Stage 1 with some of the merch that I've got on. You can save 10% off at precisionrifleseries.com.au for any of the Stage 1 merch using the code IDLive10, IDLive10, and that will save you 10% off any of the merch, including, or not including these shirts. These were a limited run for members, but hats and other shirts and bits and pieces, and these ones here are the comfiest hat I've ever worn, so grab like 10 of them. Anyway, right, yes, Steve Hurt, Outer Edge, was having problems with power today, so he'll be on the show tomorrow night if they get the power back on in Orange. That would be very useful to having him do that. Although phones, as long as his phone's charged, we should be good. Right, Emma, how are you going with your 40? Are you on it? Yeah, hopefully you're smashing that out. I'm still getting tagged in Team Impact posts. Keep them coming. We have, Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Check-in day is 5 days away for the 2-week period, so we're on the tail end of it. Make sure you haven't lost motivation. I know Ness is still dropped dropped alcohol and still on that. Someone's just bought a shirt. Thanks very much for that. Awesome stuff. We'll get that out to you tomorrow. And I know Emma, are you any higher than 31? I'm still doing all sorts of various things off the booze, and I'll be dry firing tomorrow. So if you and I'll try and do something a little bit different. So I'll give you a heads up when that is. If you want to grab a gun and join me dry firing, that'd be excellent. Excellent. All right, guys, I think we shall get into it. Graeme is joining us tonight all the way from New Zealand. He is he's done a lot of things, it seems. He's got a Facebook page we're going to talk about, and collected a community of shooters out in New Zealand there, which I look forward to hearing about that. Run competitions, I think one of the largest ones in the North Island. I could have that wrong, but he hasn't shaken his head at me yet, so maybe I'm right. And a hunter as well, and look forward to discovering more about hunting in New Zealand. So Graeme, hopefully you're there, and we'll bring you across, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to be here.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic to have you. I know you've watched a few of the shows, particularly when Kerry was on, giving him a hard time, which is what we need to do. It'd be great to have another New Zealander from someone to give another international perspective. Although things are different, but not entirely different. So how's things over there? Still locked down, I believe.
Yeah, not quite as serious as it was last week, but if you're not at work, you should be at home. Is the rule still? But they have allowed some hunting and other recreational activities with a bunch of sort of rules on top. But it's getting better. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Excellent. That's what we need, and so hopefully things will be getting back to normal. And you said there may even be a match coming up sometime soon. Fingers crossed.
Towards the end of May, there's hopefully like a precision 22 shoot.
Yep.
All going well, and if the restrictions are lifted, it'd be good if that went ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if nothing else, you'll make us a ton jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good event, actually, so I hope it does go ahead. And a lot of guys will be itching to get out and shoot because
I bet.
They're city bound, so they can't go out all the time.
Whoever's the match director for that comp, just double the round count right now. Like if whatever it was going to be, double it, because everyone will just be wanting to pull triggers as much as they possibly can. Yeah. Instead of hitting each target once, hit each target twice, maybe 3 times. Oh, good, man.
Not a bad idea.
So, Graeme, can you give us a little rundown on your shooting history? Just the some of the key things of where it came from for you and how long you've been getting involved.
I'm not no military background or anything like that. I'm by no means a professional shooter. Just grew up rural, so that involved pest control and sort of casual shooting, and then got back into firearms when I was late teens, and then originally into sort of military stuff and random sort of interest in firearms, and then I got into precision firearms several years ago after shooting a field match, and then it sort of just got out of control from there, and now it's sort of become all of this stuff I do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, and you're pretty involved.
Yeah, I try to be. A lot of it's just trying to organise different events so guys can get out and shoot. That's a lot of what got me into it, because I've got a lot of sort of connections to big rural properties and stuff where we can shoot. So that's a lot of what drove it forward. Yeah,
fantastic, man, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm looking here at Taranaki long range shooting. Long range shooting. I had it right. And so this is a Facebook page that people should go and find now. Is it on Instagram as well?
Yeah, a majority of the effort's on Facebook, but it is on Instagram. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no dramas. Well, so guys, if you are watching, go and follow Graeme on that. Now, tell us a little bit about what's happening there with that Facebook page. What's the purpose of it, and what are you putting up there? Because you seem to be pretty active on it.
I try to be active, especially during this lockdown, just so people have got something to look at.
Sure.
But I don't think there's any real supposed purpose to it or an end goal, that's for sure, because all it does is cost me money. But
I can relate to
I
this.
just like, I like just getting out and trying different things and always trying to get better at shooting. So doing this and that and practicing. I've got a lot of bad habits I'm trying to get better at with shooting.
Yep.
And then I put it on the internet and people seem to like it.
Awesome.
And then I also use it to promote events as well when we do put them on.
Yep. I have lots of challenges that I need to get rid of, and they're not all just limited to shooting. Things I need to improve on. But anyway, that's good, man. That's good. And so, have you had some interesting experience out of it? You seem to have all sorts of a range of firearms listed on this page. It's good to see. I'm looking at a 303. I'm looking at a Australian Lithgow. That's great. Anyway.
Yeah, I've sort of tried to make my own brand of content where it's not just one specific type of firearms. So the idea being, you can get someone who's into precision guns, and then they might have a faint interest in the firearms our forefathers used in the wars.
Yes.
So they can see that, or they might be interested in a little bit of hunting and 22s and cowboy guns or whatever. So I try and have no bias towards any particular type of firearm for the most part.
Yep.
And give a good spread.
Yeah.
And so that also, I get like older gentlemen who have no real interest in precision rifles.
Yes.
But they might actually consider looking into it because they see it, because they followed it for the World War I stuff. Or that's the idea. And it has worked. I've got a bunch of people come along to events, have gone and bought a Tikka or a Ruger or something to learn how to, dial and shoot a long way and compete because of that. So.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. That's excellent to hear. And is this reflective of your firearms collection as well? Have you got quite a bit of diversity in what you own?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of, again, like I said, I started off with military stuff. I really like sort of First World War firearms.
Yeah,
and Second World War, and
you got a couple of things behind you there as well, which I'm guessing are a part of that interest. What can we see?
Yeah, there's some ordnance and stuff behind me. There's some mortars and
did
that
you just
sort of
put?
thing.
Did you put that there for tonight, or is that normally sit there? And
no, this is my little museum. I've got a little room full of junk. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All stuff I've collected.
Oh, fantastic. Anyway, so back to your firearms collection. You started with the military side of things.
Yeah, but there wasn't a lot of ways to compete in that either.
Yep.
There's service rifle in New Zealand, but it's very not my style of shooting. I like shooting steel. From the start, I like to shoot steel targets. I used to just shoot any old piece of steel I could get, to be honest, when I was a young fella. And then, so once I've seen sort of these precision field shooting style matches that we have in New Zealand, it sort of hooked me because it was that same thing. It was shooting steel, but it was challenging. It was out to distance, and it was running up and down hills, and so it sort of transitioned from one through to the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice, mate. Now you mentioned before that you run. Did I have that right? It was one of the largest comps in the Northern Ireland. Yeah, and so this is a long range event, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a long range event. Mm-hmm. So we try run. Most comps have two classes in New Zealand.
Okay. So
majority of the North Island events, which are run by a good friend of mine, and he also majorly assists with the one I do.
Yes.
He has a hunter class, which is aimed at bringing hunters into the sport, I guess, and using their more basic firearms.
Yep.
That usually goes out to about 400 metres, and then there'll be an open class that might be out to 700 or a K, depending on the facility.
Okay.
And then the one I do, not just me, but the one I organise, it's less hunting orientated. So that has a sportsman's class out to about 500.
Yes.
And then an open class out to about a K. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you have two classes, and so your competitors will shoot, like, I guess, different courses of fire or the same course of fire, but with targets at different distances?
It depends on what's going on. But
Sure.
so they'll be squatted together. You'll have a mix. So generally it's like 2/3 will be an open.
Yep.
And then you'll have a couple into the hunter class or the sportsman's class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so same thing. So you'll potentially use the same prop or tree or bank or whatever we've got there.
Yep.
And they'll just have they might share one or two targets, but generally the open class will have more challenging targets.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll be essentially a completely different stage, but they shoot it at the same area.
At the same point. Yeah, right. So it's almost in some ways really running two matches at the same time
Yeah,
with some constraints.
it is. There's even talk about one of the other major North Island matches that's in the same region as me, about because it's since the semi-automatics got banned here, a lot of the 3-gun guys have come over to precision shooting, and so the events are selling out in like a day or less now. So there's talk of allowing competitors potentially to shoot open class on the Saturday and then hunter class on the Sunday, because guys just want to get out and compete, so or to allow more shooters into the event. We'll see how it goes.
And is it the one that you run, is that normally a 1 or 2 day match?
It's been going for 2 years now, and it's been a 1 day match. But again, there's talk of with Simon Gillis from Gillis Practical Rifle Events. He's worth looking up. He's sort of the main man for precision shooting in the North Island.
Sure.
There's talking with him about potentially moving it to a 2-day event.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we have the same sort of range or we go to the other side of this big property and set up a second range. So you have essentially 2, which would be pretty cool. One big range the first day, and the second day you got another big range that's completely different obstacles, targets.
Yep.
A bit more logistics, but it'd be pretty neat. So yeah, that's probably going to happen as a 2-day event next February.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. And so do you, what's like I know you can't say what a typical course of fire is because they change very much, but is it, is it swing towards a little bit more? I mean, is it like PRS style events, or is it more sort of longer time frames, longer range, or sort of which way does it go?
I'd call it a blend between all of them. So in the hunter class ones, the ones that have hunter class, you have kind of things that'll replicate semi-hunting scenarios, but maybe with like 3 or 4 5 targets.
Yep.
But shooting again using barricades and stuff, but more replicating what you might have to do out in the bush or in the hills. As for the open class, I wouldn't call it PRS, although we do have some PRS style stages for sure. Like at the RTD comp, we built a big rooftop prop, so you shoot off a rooftop, similar to what you see overseas. And then, but yeah, if we could we'd rather use a natural piece of terrain or a tree than a prop.
Yep.
Or like a fabricated prop site, or if there's a hole, because we use big farms instead of static ranges, there might be like a big dirty track up a hill, and we can stick you off the side of the track in a cow rut that's really, really uncomfortable and forces you to figure out how to shoot the stage, and you're not at all comfortable. So you're doing the same thing. You're putting people in situations where it's hard, but it's not the same. And in the North Island here, South Island's a little bit different, but myself, and I know Simon's the same, even more so, but all the accessories to overcome barricades aren't very popular.
Mm-hmm.
They are with the competitors, but not so much with us. Like if we put something in your way to make the shot harder, and you can just use something to make it easy, like put a tripod under your arm or some fancy bag, we'd rather I think it's better if you use limited gear. So we're leaning towards guys using smaller bags and not pump pillows and all that kind of carry on. So you're actually, instead of just overcoming the challenge by using equipment, you've actually got to use like fundamentals and practice, or it's just going to be hard. So that's the difference. Is the idea is less gear. We don't implement it too heavily, but it potentially could be in the future, to the point where we might even supply each stage might have a couple of bags at the stage and other bags you use or something like that to prevent guys trying to game the rules.
Yeah, and you like in PRS, you certainly see that, like that's done on a stage by stage basis, where you know, a stage may have like a bipod and that's it, or this provided bag, or nothing, or and perhaps and that really comes down, as you guys probably know, that really is dependent on the match director themselves of which way they go. I imagine it's very similar over there. Some match directors are just like, whatever you want, and then some are like, no, nothing. One bag for the entire match. Yeah. I think all are good. All are good. Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
fantastic.
well, it should be hard, eh? If it's easy, it's,
Oh,
how
yeah.
I'd rather be challenged.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
But
it's also like I found it great when you're at a stage where you're like, yeah, go for it. Any gear you want, knowing that unless you actually know how to use your gear, that will hinder you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you did touch on time limits. So the time limits are
Mhm.
similar. They're not that tight that only the best shooter could get through it.
Yep.
But you've still got to be moving. If you're fluffing about, if you haven't got your dope ready,
Yep.
I'd say the time limits are similar in that respect.
Achievable,
yeah.
but you've got to be moving along to make it achievable.
Yeah, like how I see it as like the mid-range shooter should sort of just get through it with a few seconds to spare.
Yep.
The top guys will usually get through a little bit faster.
Yep.
But then there's some stages that there's one that my friend Simon always uses. It's a paper stage he does, and it's like 10 meters, and you've got, you start 10 meters back from the shoot position, and you start with loose rounds in hand. You got to start the time, walk forward, load your mag, get to the shoot position, insert the mag, and shoot, say, 4 or 5 shots. And you got, say, 20 or 30 seconds to do it, and it just turns to custard for everyone because they drop in projectiles, or some guys try single feed and then they forget, because it's so close that you've got to account for scope to bore offset. And it's really good. So that'd be the tightest times, to be on those little tricky stages, and then just remembering how to shoot them. Yeah.
Fantastic. But you still get that diversity of time where some stages might be super quick and then some you've got a reasonable amount of time to complete. Yeah, cool. Yeah, nice.
So a lot of the time, the longer range stages, like generally in a comp, you'll have one stage which is like the long range stage.
Yes.
So like at Ahatidi, it was, I think our furthest target this year just gone was 1,080 meters. I think there approximately. You had a little bit of time. Yep. Like you weren't super rushed. You didn't have all day, but you could sort of, shoot, spot your fall of shot, and then make an adjustment. And I'm talking a couple of minutes or something. Yeah,
absolutely. You got enough time to make really precise, decisive shots, and take the time to read wind and do all those things that you need to do for a really long shot. But you can't just do nothing either. It makes sense. Yeah, cool. And he's seeing very much. I guess you've got your 2 classes. Do you stipulate anything in terms of equipment in those classes, or how does that decided?
This is again, I've been talking to Simon about this, and so in Ahatidi open class, we allowed up to 338 Lapua Magnum or equivalent. Yep. Because the minimum target distance was 300, and we just do that to protect the targets. But
I understand.
We generally only get a few 338s anyway, and all they do is wreck our targets. They blow the bolts to bits, and anyway, so they'll probably get pulled out, to be honest.
Yep.
So then it's normally limited to 300 Winchester Magnum.
Yep.
Or equivalent, and then we, as a rule, was a 3,200 feet per second velocity limit. Again, it just protects those steel targets inside a 100 to 200 meters. If 22 to 50s and all that is just going to bugger up the target. So there's that. And then between the classes, it's not a hugely enforceable. There's nothing really enforced at the moment, because there's a lot of shooters I see who, especially after the buyback here, so everyone went and bought real fancy precision setups because the government, took out semis off us. So everyone had money, they bought these fancy setups.
Yep.
And a lot of guys, I personally think, should shoot, like especially RTD, should shoot the sportsman's class for their skill level, and that they're new to this type of competition. So they're going to have quite a fancy setup, but I think their skill still limits them regardless. So and because it wasn't a hunter class, it was a sportsman's class. There was no gear restrictions apart from that caliber restriction. So their minimum maximum caliber was 300 Win Mag and under. And then as for the hunter events you have around the place, I believe some rules may come in the hunter class. So maybe like barrel weights, max magnifications, and a few things like that potentially. Because if I shoot it, I could drop out of the open class and shoot hunter class with my 17-pound precision rifle,
mm-hmm.
that does give me a fair advantage over like a factory Tikka. So yeah, it's coming. I think so.
I empathise with you because it's to decide on what a class sort of fits. It is challenging because no matter where you draw the line, for someone it's not worked.
Oh yeah, and they'll
yearly events. You can tweak from year to year and try and over a few years really hone something that works well. Although generally that keeps adjusting because I was certainly running the PRS over here. We've gone you make something and then the industry sort of catches up to it. They're like, oh, you can't do that, so we'll work around this way. And then these new products come out and you're like, all right, well, we need to just all right, well, we need to rewrite that sort of and I mean, it's not a big surprise. You see them coming, and so it's just constantly evolving.
Yeah. So I don't think too much of the gear. Like I'm not a believer that you can go and buy your way to sort of the top 5 of the competition, especially in the open class. You've still got to be a good shooter.
Yeah.
Again, that's not talking about like the bags and the tripods and stuff, but like the actual, you've still got to be a really good shooter to be getting top 5 in a sort of national level comp in New Zealand. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you can spend if you spend all your money on training and time and shooting and practice, maybe you could buy your way there, but you got to spend all that time there as well.
Yeah, but that's practice, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you can spend money, but it's practice. But are you practicing correctly? That's what I'm trying to I touched on earlier. I go out and I shoot more than everybody, to be honest. I shoot a lot, but I've got a lot of like Simon says to me, bad habits will get you quite a long way, but then they'll let you down. So I'm trying to sort of make sure when I get behind the rifle, I'm doing that same thing. And money isn't going to change that. So I think just working on those fundamentals and my positional shooting. So that stuff's I think worth more than any fancy optic or anything. Yeah.
Agreed, mate. Agreed. Graeme, what are you working on at the moment? Is there a particular sort of area that you've identified that you could share that you're battling against?
Yeah. Again, it's that for prone shooting, it's making sure I'm not twisting. I got a habit of I got into small bore a little bit when I was younger, and we were encouraged to have quite a sort of bent shooting position. I'm trying to get away from that to be sort of squaring behind the rifle and again getting behind it consistently. A lot of the time I used to I'd lay down and just shoot and I'd be happy with a mediocre position.
Yep.
But now I'm trying to remedy that. And then I never really got into dry fire years ago. I always thought that was just something people did who couldn't shoot. Like they couldn't get out as a go shooting. And that was never an issue for me because I live on the range. So, but now I see the benefit of it. So getting that practice and making sure my hands. Actually, one thing I've been trying to work on, and I always, because I film videos, I always have to. I watch it and I watch my mistakes all the time. But
so
getting that nice 90-degree trigger pull and keeping my thumb the same position on the rifle stock, and then also following through on the trigger pull.
Yep. Like
I do it, and then I'll watch a video and I'll be like, yeah, that was a good trigger pull. That was a good trigger pull, and then I'll just pull it like an idiot, and I'll generally I'm hitting the target or whatever, but I just watch it. Oh, shivers! I've got to really work on that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I've got a question here about what rifle setup you're using for that. For these type of comps. What are you running? I've
got a big problem that I shoot too many different firearms, and it's negatively affects me in a lot of ways because I'm not doing that same thing over and over. But for the most part, I run a Bagara B14 HMR, 6.5 Creedmoor.
Sure.
Those brown, funny-looking ones.
Yep.
And then, just that with a muzzle brake and a few things on it. Nothing too outlandish, but it runs good and it's accurate.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. And what optics is sitting on top of that?
That one has had the same optic for like 3 years now. So a Gen 2 Vortex Viper.
Yep.
PST, for 5 to 25 for 50, I think it is. Yeah. I've got a lot of nicer scopes now, but I just still haven't changed it because it's in second focal plane too. I really should swap it out.
Yeah,
and
right.
it's minute of angle when I mainly shoot mills now. So look at all these problems I'm giving myself. But the thing is, I leave it the same because it's just working.
And it's working. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what are you finding over there with a common here now for a number of years, but certainly go back far enough, and we were all shooting MOA and second focal plane.
Yeah, I think it's sort of starting to drift over to a lot of guys will go and buy a first focal plane if they buy a new optic.
Yep.
And I'm seeing a lot more guys shooting mill. Yeah, I mean, all the ex-army guys, they're all shooting mill because what they know, but a lot of Kiwi hunters, they know MOA. Well, they don't really know MOA, but it's what their scopes have always dialed in.
Sure.
And so that's what like the hunting shops sell, because the majority of our retailers are hunting orientated because hunting's so popular here. Yeah. So they'll sell minute of angle, second focal plane. So if you, not always, but so now I am, myself and a lot of my friends and the people I kick around with are shooting mill, not exclusively, but that is handy. Yeah,
that's what they're doing. Yeah, it's probably a very similar trend to follow, where you which we all started MOA, and that's what we'd all shot, and second focal plane was standard, and it's certainly shifting and following, and interesting to see that you're probably very much the same, just perhaps a little year or so behind where Australia is at the moment as well. So yeah, cool, mate. And you mentioned on hunting, I'm going to come back to that in a moment, but just for those who are watching, tonight is our Zoom hangout night. So towards the end of the show, at the end of the show, the numbers will be up and in the links. There'll be links there for you guys to jump on board if you want to hang out for a little while after the show, and we'll be in there chatting away about whatever shooting stuff, and be able to show guns off and be able to stare back at you rather than a piece of glass that I'm looking at currently, which is not as exciting. And coming up on the show tomorrow night, Steve Hurt from Outer Edge Projectiles. Looking forward to having him on there. And Friday night is Time to Get Wild with Dave Acker. I don't know what he's got planned, but for those who do know Dave, it'll be something planned, and we will see what goes on. So that'll be excellent. And I think that's all do this. So looking forward to Zoom. Details will be up at the end of the show. Right, Graeme, on hunting. Now, you've done a reasonable amount of hunting around New Zealand or in your area. What have you done?
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself an experienced hunter. I hunt. I'm a lazy hunter. If I can hunt from a truck or something, less walking the better. But I have hunted since I was young. Again, growing up in a backcountry sort of farm, we had a massive number of feral goats, so that was pretty standard, culling them, and then feral pigs. Our pigs act a little bit different from yours. They're a bit harder to find, but that'd be it. And then again, once I got older and got into firearms as a hobby, and the precision shooting started, I started getting invited to more places. So hunting deer. So there's a few deer around where I live, not a lot, fallow deer. And then you red deer a couple of hours away. But funnily enough, all the red deer I've shot have been in the South Island. But they're pretty cool to hunt because they're so much bigger than the deer we have here, so it's quite a treat. Yeah, because
the South Island is the one that's really known for the picturesque, sort of amazing looking hunting sort of areas, and you've shot down there a bit.
Yeah, I try go to South Island a couple times a year.
Okay.
Not necessarily just for hunting, but I've got a bit of family down there.
Yep.
I normally tee that up with some hunting.
Of course.
But, my new brother-in-law's a keen-as hunter in South Island, so as soon as I go down there, straight away we're going out. I went for my first trip to hunt tahr last year with a couple of friends around Tekapo, which is sort of halfway down South Island Central. That was cool. Again, I didn't find them. I didn't shoot a monster bull by any means, but they weren't particularly hard to hunt. They're just goats that hang out a bit higher up in the mountains. But the scenery and sort of the adventure of where you're hunting is a lot of what's cool about South Island, I reckon. It's just so picturesque, like you say, and we end up is just so unbelievable. And then you get to do some cool shooting. And the good thing about that sort of shooting, what I found was a lot of it is high angle shooting. and that kind of thing, which I quite enjoy because the mountains are so big, So yeah, if you can get there and do it, it is worth it for sure. And it's public land, so all you need to do is you get a permit, but a permit, all it is, it's you essentially go on the Department of Conservation website and essentially just registers where you are for record keeping. And then if you go missing, I guess they can go through and say, oh, he's in this area. And then you just go out and hunt and shoot what you want, any time of the year.
Amazing.
Unless it's a ballot block. So. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, certainly seen videos and bits and pieces of guys who've headed over there, and some incredible country, and some of those being ballot sort of areas, but even just the public areas look amazing. I haven't been in New Zealand yet, but I will definitely get there. We'll get over there and shoot some matches and maybe go hunting and do whatever else it is that you do in New Zealand. Yeah,
you just got to time it because we don't have as many matches, so you got to really time it to get to.
Oh yeah,
one of each. Yeah.
I'm sure we can make that work. Yeah, cool, nice, mate, nice. And so you've been involved with other matches. You mentioned Simon there as well. I know he does a lot of. He's fairly active in running those. Do you guys have anything like at a club level, or is it really sort of these one-off events?
Yeah, so all the matches are run. Nothing runs in a organised sort of schedule where 6 months out, and they don't link up.
Yep.
So that's essentially they're just these. I wouldn't say standalone events, but we have tried to this year anyway. We tried to sort of schedule. So Simon did a new event this year in late January, Hautapu, which is over in a place called Waiouru, and it's sort of New Zealand's main military training area.
Yep.
It's sort of Tasaki. It's quite neat. We're actually right next to the military base, and so that was in January. And then Ahatidi, which Simon, again, is a major part of helping me, was in February. And then the Mountain Challenge, which you guys, I imagine, have heard of, was the following month. So we sort of lined ours up so guys could shoot the 3 events working up to the Mountain Challenge, which is the biggest New Zealand event by far, a 3-day sort of thing. So,
yeah. Have you shot the
so
Mountain
there
Challenge?
was that. No, I've not shot a South Island match before. I want to shoot it next year, potentially. Yeah, new kid and all that, so it's sort of hard to.
That'll do it. Yeah,
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a number of Australian guys head over there, and one of them took out the Sunday.
Which was the PRS match.
Yeah, that's right.
That's cool. Yeah. I definitely. I've always had a goal of having a North Island event. Not to rival the Mountain Challenge, but to be as good. I think our the event, the RTD event, and then Simon's events are excellent, and they're actually really good. But that sort of that international prestige that the Mountain Challenge has, it'd be cool to have that up at one of these shoots for sure. Absolutely. So we'll work towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done, man. Well done. Now, I'm still intrigued by the room here, and you called it a museum before, and I'm not going to let that go because that's fascinating. So you've got a sort of bits and pieces you've collected over the years. Anything that stands out to you that isn't a gun? Because apparently we can't do that on YouTube Live. But
because there's all sorts of random stuff. There's like uniforms and flags from the wars. It's all like World War One, World War Two.
Yep. Have you got a particular item that's one of your favourites?
No, I don't have any favourites. I'll show you something interesting though.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Always.
So this here is a piece of shrapnel we found on the Western Front from the First World War. So it's a, this is what was chopping our poor boys in half.
Yeah, right.
Huh. Yeah, like it was probably weighs well over a pound.
Yeah, right.
It's just jagged steel. Like it's just a piece of junk, but that's what was flying around.
Yeah.
And killing everyone. Yeah. So there's something interesting, I guess.
How did you?
Other than that,
how did you come onto
that? My old man's right into it, so he gets a bit of stuff sent over.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been to Europe, did a bit of a, pilgrimage of the places where the Anzacs fought, Gallipoli, Western Front. I didn't go to the Middle East, obviously, but a bit spicy. But yeah, so that's the thing. You just kick around in the farmers' fields because you just wander through them. They don't really care.
Yeah, right.
And this stuff, it constantly gets turned over because the grounds that they can only grow animal fodder there. You can't grow human food because there's
Yeah.
that much lead and arsenic in the ground. So they just grow crops, and this stuff just keeps coming out the ground.
Fascinating.
There's live ordnance coming out the ground. It's wicked.
So when you said that this is something you found on the Western Front, that you actually were the one who found it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. I let that statement go because I thought you were just talking sort of we collectively, meaning everyone in the world, found at some point that amazing. How long? How long?
Oh
were you
yeah,
over
it's
there?
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. How long were you over there for?
6 weeks, I think, all up.
Yeah. Right.
Just drive. We just leased a car and drove about. Dragged my poor wife around to all these old fields. They're just fields. It's not like there's a castle there. It's just a field.
Just a field.
But yeah. But you start looking around, and it's interesting. And again, these are the places where our ancestors fought. So I've got a bit of family, connection to these areas. So it's pretty cool to go there and find this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. And did you do any sort of the bigger sites as well, or was it just an exclusive fields only visit?
No, so I went to like the D-Day invasion beaches along the coast there. Yeah, Omaha Beach and Utah and all those, and then all the little towns that you see in Band of Brothers. Mm-hmm. I went to all of them, and I went to Auschwitz, the concentration camp. That was horrible, and just anything really I could get to, just to see it.
Yeah, and obviously that's been a huge big passion for you, and is that have you? There's a lot of talk about like PRS style stages being shot with old 303s and Morsers and that sort of thing. Have you done any of that sort of stuff?
Well, we actually I've never seen a competition like that, so I sort of put the idea out there, and it was overwhelmingly popular. So I had booked one in, but COVID put a stop to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, no. So we were going to, where we do our big competitions, I was talking to the landowner, and he's, we'll dig a trench, we're going to build a bunker, we'll build all this stuff. So to be a PRS style shoot-ish, but with service firearms, 3.0s, Mausers, steel targets, only up to say 100-200, maybe 300 at a maximum. And so it was all going to happen.
Oh, wow.
We were going to do it all, but we'll probably still do it. But we've just got it now. You don't want to hold. I don't like the idea of holding an event midwinter in New Zealand because it just gets so wet.
Yeah.
And then it might be fine. You might luck out, but chances are it's going to be rainy.
Yep.
And then you get towards the end of the year, and you got to shuffle it in with the other events and public holidays and everything. So it will happen. I don't know when. Yeah.
It'd be amazing to have a trench to be shooting to sort of mimic a lot of those things. That's incredible that you got that far along with it. It's awesome to hear. Guys here have done sort of little club events and bits and pieces, but that's a very themed the entire thing, including the stages to it. That's brilliant. Yeah. There is actually for our main big competition. Mm-hmm. Potentially, there's this sort of half of the stages shoot out of a big hay paddock. It's not a flat hay paddock; it's all rolling. Yep. But there's this one sort of knob in the paddock that they can't mow. Mm-hmm. So it's no real good, because they mow grass about a week before we shoot the comp. So the landowner was talking about actually cutting a big trench through that. So in the precision competition, you'd have a trench in that just as something different. Yep. So that could potentially actually happen in our normal kind of matches as a trench. Just something different to shoot out of, Yeah. I think if you're looking for an international prestige match, I reckon if you theme something along those lines of the old school sort of thing, or at least maybe having one day out of 3 being that way inclined, maybe maybe that would be your niche. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. I've got a real funny thing because when it comes to those old bolt guns, I don't mind theming it with a military theme because they are service rifles.
Yeah.
But when it comes to our precision firearms, I've got to make a real effort not to imply, and I imagine it's the same for you, that they are intended for that kind of thing.
Yes.
So you got to we don't we don't use silhouette targets for the most part here.
Yeah.
There's no rules against it, but it's just our way of potentially avoiding a bad news story, especially after the terror attacks of last year.
Sure.
And that stuff's sort of
top of mind.
a square target gives you the same result. Sort of thing.
It's still as hard or as easy to hit. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So that the military shoot will have silhouette targets in it.
Yeah.
And I even checked with we've sort of got like a big lobbying group who represents us. I even talked to them about it, to what their thoughts were. And with the military stuff, they said it's not an issue because the competition is replicating and paying homage to events of the past. So it's weird how that event, like you said, is fine, but this other one will try and because we don't want to be perceived as wannabe snipers. That's for sure.
know that feeling. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, getting a couple of questions here, mate. And guys, if you do have any questions for Graeme, we've got about 10 minutes or so left, particularly around New Zealand, shooting over there and the matches there or hunting over there. I guess whatever's going on, that'd be great. What sort of numbers are you getting at your matches? How many shooters?
So we with RTD and then Simon's one. So generally we number it out at about 48 shooters.
Okay.
Much more. We've got a real issue of it's not all squads, but some squads because we generally run like a self RO.
Yep.
So when we allocate the squads, we'll make sure there's an experienced shooter who's shot the competitions before in it, and so they know. And so the idea is, say, there's 8 of us in a squad. One guy's ROing, the next guy's shooting, the next shooter's getting ready, the next guy after that's sort of, getting ready to get ready or respotting or whatever. But it never quite works out with a couple squads and they end up slowing the whole day down. And you get up them and try to keep them moving, but some squads are just nanas. So if we make the day too much longer, say more stages or more shooters, it can end up just being too much of a challenge to get everyone through. So generally about 48 shooters is where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that, you said that's pretty much filling up fairly consistently, fairly quickly?
Yeah, especially now, like before they banned our AR-15s, it would sort of take maybe 6 weeks to fill a competition.
Yep.
And now it's less than a day. Like Simon's Hautapa event was like 2 hours. It was done. But generally what will happen is you'll say you miss out, you'll go, I'll go on the waiting list, and you'll generally get a spot because their life gets in the way.
We've got the same thing here. Certainly, we have matches that I'm trying to think what the record's been, like a 65 match in sold in 40 minutes or something stupid like that.
Wow.
And you go, guys,
awesome.
get on the wait list, and then people don't. And then 15 guys pull out because it was booked out 2 months prior, then life happens and things happen and all that sort of thing. So it's the way.
Yeah. So we try and offer RTD anyway. If you pull out a week before the event, you'll generally get a refund. But if you're pulling out at the 11th hour, they generally lose the entry fee because it becomes a hassle for the organizer to fill that spot because they're trying to set up the event. Around a week is fine generally.
I can totally appreciate that. I guess the events that we're involved with, big 2-day events, and there's a lot of expenditure, and even a week out, we would have spent everything already, and most of the stuff we have to pay in advance for the events we run over here. So even 2 or 3 weeks out, we've already ordered shirts and paid for dinner and done all this sort of bits and pieces. So I can appreciate.
So do you get a shirt at the event? Do you?
And the PRS matches over here. So this the one I'm wearing there is the members shirt. So when you sign up as a member, as long as you did it within the first 4 weeks or something like that, then you got a shirt, and then pretty much, I don't have any close by, but pretty much every match there's a shirt or some sort of piece of merch that you get with it. But that's sort of the bigger 2-day events. They're most likely more expensive, and that's because you get sort of a whole package with them, and you get a dinner covered on the Saturday night and all sorts of stuff.
Oh wow!
So it's quite a it's not just rock up and shoot shoot a match, there's the experience, and that's what a lot of guys really enjoy, because it's you can go shoot a match at the club, which is excellent, and you go and do that, but then it's the PRS matches, both here and in the US, and no doubt in South Africa as well, and the other Mongolia is was coming on board. I haven't kept up with what Mongolia's 2020 plans were given the current scenario, but anyway, it's the whole sort of package of the weekend, the Friday, and we did side comps and side matches and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's sort of an expanded experience rather than just a one-day shoot, which is nothing wrong, because we still run at our club. We run some one-day shoots as well, and they are, again, really good way to get people into the sport. So yeah, it's progressed, it's growing. That's
real interesting, because I've got a thing I hate charging people for stuff. I feel real bad taking money. Mm-hmm. So we try to keep our events pretty cheap, extremely cheap in my opinion. But yeah, we have talked about if it becomes a 2-day event, and the landowner of all people talked about getting a shirt made. Yeah. Which would be pretty cool, actually. It'd be quite neat. Because I get my Taranaki shirts made. So yeah, that's quite a good idea.
We've because there's some matches here that are run by PRS as an organisation, and some matches that are run by the clubs in partnership with PRS, and none of those guys have to produce a shirt or a piece of merch either. But they can, and it's highly recommended they do. And if nothing else, I don't know if you've seen Emma on the show, but if you didn't produce a shirt and you put the match on, you'd have to deal with her. Because she has a collection and is pretty specific. But I think you'll find actually a lot of the guys who have been on the other end of this, on this show, are often wearing their match shirts, because they just become the common thing to do. And that's actually the guy we kicked PRS off with here. He was really adamant about producing shirts for it, and I was like, it's again like, we could probably bring the price down a little bit and make it a bit better and all that sort of thing. Emma's just said she's only in it for the shirt, but then he did it. I said, all right, well, back your decision, away you go. And I went to a couple of shoots afterwards, non-PRS shoots, just other shoots, and a quarter of the guys were wearing the shirt from the match. And I went, oh yeah, makes sense while we're producing shirts as well now. Like it's a good little package, and you get a bit more out of it, and then also it gets out there at people go, oh, you were at the match, or you were at this one, or they see that you were wearing a particular one, and so it's kind of it's good to see. It's been good, and anyway, they've been, and we've now found really comfy suppliers, and they're really nice, comfortable shirts to wear, not just a tacky one that falls apart on the Sunday afternoon of the match, which is no good. Yeah. Now, there's been a question here. I don't know. Do you know a Joel Jackson? Because I never quite know if these are loaded questions or if these are just. I
know a Joel Jackson. Yeah, okay, he's in the Navy. If that's anything to go by, but he's all right. Yeah.
He's asked what the funniest story from a shoot is. I'm wondering if he's talking about a specific story that he's trying to get you to talk about.
I know what he's talking about. It's not that funny.
Oh, okay.
I'll say it. It was at a hunter shoot. It was actually the first event I met Joel at. Yep. And it was the last time he got to legally use his AR-15 too. They got taken off us not long after that. But a good friend of mine, he always has bad luck.
Yeah.
If it's going to go wrong, it goes wrong for him. And we were shooting a stage, and I can send you a photo. Actually, we were sort of on a track, and there was a big bank, and we were shooting off the edge of the track. Mm-hmm. And he used his backpack as a support for his rifle.
Yep.
So the stage started, he got down, and he put his bag down, then he turned around or something, and then the bag rolled down this big bank. And so he turns back around, and the support's gone, and he's going, where's my bag? And we're all just sitting behind him, giggling like girls. And then he's, and because then it's downrange, and he's like, can I get my bag? It's like, no, you can't get your bag for the rest of the match. It's downrange. We'd have to shut the whole shoot down.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a bit of a laugh. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, did you meet Bronte when he was over there at all?
Bronte come and stayed at my house. Okay. Enough.
Yeah, right.
So again, they shot the Tarata match. He came down with Kerry, Jess, and Matt. and I live. The Tarata match is about a 15-minute drive from where I live,
Okay.
which is very handy. So they all come and stay at my house. Not six. Although he got me by 50 points. Like he whipped.
Oh wow!
It wasn't close. He was a fair bit ahead of me in fifth.
Yep.
He schooled me a little bit, but yeah, no, he was a nice guy for an Australian. Yeah.
Were you there for the mat rolling story? Did you experience his inability to roll up a mat? Or were you not present? I can't remember. That one? Yeah.
Yeah, what happened there? Yeah, I remember it was wet. It would have been a shock for him being an Aussie. It was a wet day, a monsoon. It was pretty bad, and we just kept shooting. It was.
Yeah. I think that's one thing you were talking about before about planning matches through winter. Like that's our key season is through that sort of we start our season at the end of or partly into autumn, and we have the majority in through winter and sort of finish up in spring. So that's pretty common to see where. You may not want to do that over there because it probably gets bloody cold and can be significantly wet.
Yeah, I don't mind cold because you can deal with that, and even the rain's not that bad, but it's the wind.
Yeah.
So and because we don't like New Zealand's, we don't have as much flat areas as Australia, definitely. So and because our events are run on farms, and so you got like in New Zealand you got dairy farming, which is like the flat land. I imagine similar to you guys, but that's no good for long range shooting because there's no backstops.
Yep.
So we head out into the sheep country, the beef country, which is steeper. So there's like the wind, and you're shooting over multiple gullies, and the rain. It can just be a real horrible place to be on a bad day.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. And we've had some pretty some events that have been pretty bad for wind and rain and all sorts of stuff. But generally speaking, we've got shelters because we have to shoot these things on ranges, and so we've got shelters and we've got facilities. Although given that the worst one we've had was on a range where the roof had disappeared in a previous windstorm and they were fighting about insurance of paying for it. So we were on the range with no shelter and dealing with the worst conditions we've had. But we dealt with it. We shot, we laid in mud and just, I should correct that. I didn't lay in any mud. And I was under shelter, but all the shooters did. To be fair, can't misrepresent that, and they did well. So it was, and you have like, this is where you're going to be shooting prone, and after 60 shooters, the prone has delved into a mud pit about this big, and everyone's like looking for a longer bipod to put in there. But anyway, that's the way.
That's part of the fun, though, isn't it?
Yeah, not wrong. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
Easy, Graeme. Well, thanks very much for coming on board, man. It's great to learn about what's going on over there and get a real closer picture of it. And it's always good to hear because we probably do very similar things, and it's great to be able to connect over it. So, yeah, awesome, man. We're going to throw some details up for the Zoom room. So for those guys who are watching, you can join us in a few minutes. I'm going to send that through to you. And what else do we need to tell you? Well, shout out to Graeme. But how do we follow you, mate? What's the best ways to keep in touch with you?
Most Facebook for the most part, Taranaki Long Range Shooting, and then same on Instagram. But if you want to see the videos, it's mostly on Facebook. And a little bit on YouTube. But again, I don't put most of my videos on, so they're all on Facebook. Yeah, all
good. So,
I do a lot of little 22 videos, all sorts of weird. See how far I can shoot them, all sorts of stuff. It's
nice. Good. And Taranaki is Taranaki, basically how it sounds for Australians who will hear that word and go, what?
It's a Māori word,
Yeah. What does it mean?
Yeah. Fuck if I know. I'm on the language street. I don't know. It's just where I live. It's just a region.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what it means.
There's a big mountain. There's a mountain. It's a good place to live. Yeah.
Love it. Fantastic. All right, guys. So make sure you follow Graeme at Taranaki Long Range Shooters, and awesome stuff, mate. Thanks for coming on the show.
No worries. Happy to be here.
All right, guys. So we're going to get into the Zoom room in just a moment. But thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow night with Steve Hurt from Outer Edge Projectiles to talk reloading, and Friday night with Dave Acker, and we'll see where we go from there. Guys, a big shout out to Stage 1. Thanks to whoever jumped on board before and grabbed some stuff. But the code is IDLive10, and that will get you 10% off any of the merch there. And jump over to precisionrifleseries.com.au, and you can find all the Stage 1 merch sitting up there at the moment. Anyway, guys, look forward to that. Let's drop those numbers into the chat so you guys can start coming on in, and we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night. Take care.
Hey, hey, pretty baby, pretty baby.